So this is Mitch Miller from CravingHealthyLife.com, and I'm in beautiful downtown Nanaimo with Dr. Carmen Luterbach. She's a naturopath here practicing in Nanaimo, and she's got some great tips on exercise, but more importantly, how to have fun while you're exercising.
Hi there, my name is Carmen, and I'm a naturopath physician new to the Nanaimo area. Just wanted to talk a little bit about exercise, and I wanted to also start with a story about how I got myself back into exercising. I recently come out of a 4-year program, very intensive, in U.S. Minister at Boucher, and I would say sometimes programs like that can be demanding and involve kind of a sedentary life. So my journey has been over the past 8 months getting more active, getting into exercising, and finding social networks to make that possible. So the first tip I would probably suggest is finding something that you're passionate about. Exercise is not going to work if it's something that you feel like is a chore, or something that's adding to your to-do list, or something that's just, something that you basically dread, which for a lot of us it is. Thinking of going to the gym or being in a sweaty room with other people can be a turn-off. So for me, I found my passion to be running, and I joined a running clinic here in Nanaimo, and I found that getting back into exercising can be so much fun when you find something you enjoy and you find a social network, so you're surrounded with people who also love the same activity.
So the running clinic that you've joined, is that something that anybody can join?
Absolutely. You can usually search the internet in your local community. You can find groups that start from walking groups, and they gauge their way up depending on your pre-existing level of activity. And you can start by training for a half marathon, which would be about 21 kilometers, or training for a full marathon, over 40 kilometers. So, and you can even work up to that as your long-term goal. So it definitely is for everyone, and it's a great activity because of all ages. You can do it indoors, you can do it outdoors, and you can participate in any weather conditions as well. So it's very inclusive.
Great. And the one thing that's nice about the Nanaimo area, or even I guess Western British Columbia, the weather is something that you can pretty well train all year round. There's not too many times where you really can't go out and enjoy training. And like Dr. Carmine mentioned earlier, it's something that you have to want to do, not have to do.
Absolutely. And whether that for you is belly dancing, hula hooping, swimming, playing with your children, there's countless activities just involving getting the heart rate up, or opening your pores to have a bit of to be sweating a little bit as the main ideas, and bringing in laughter is going to be key. So for myself, I find running partners that have great senses of humor. We can tell hilarious stories from our lives, from our challenges or our difficulties with running, or even stories about our own personal lives. So that's been great for a connection. And as we talked about, I'm done. I gotta cut it off for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, ready again.
I'll put that section in the blooper section. No, just kidding.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, ready to start. So as Mitch mentioned, being in Nanaimo and being in many cities, there's so many different environments. Here in Nanaimo, you can run up and on the seawall, and then you're getting the fresh air, and you're getting fresh oxygen off the ocean. You can also run in trails around the lake, and you can run in other natural settings. So it gets you outside, gets you with the natural vitamin D exposure, which is another positive health benefit. Other tips for running with regards to nutrition, I would say the most important part is going to be hydration, especially in the summer months, making sure you're getting not just adequate water, but that the water has electrolytes, so you're replenishing what you lose during sweat perspiration. In addition to that, depending on your level of intensity, a lot of people need to take in more protein. And the value of protein is that it goes through the bloodstream and enters the muscle tissue and helps repair any muscle damage that's happened when you've gone through overtraining or strenuous work. So those would be a few general tips.
One of the biggest tips that someone gave, she's an experienced runner, she said one of the things you don't ever do before or a week or so before your race is change your diet. Don't experiment with your diet before your race, because the last thing you want to do is have to make extra pit sauce because whatever you ate doesn't agree with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's especially true for the night before and the morning of. Your system is, when you're going to an event that's going to be a race or competition, you know, your nerves are kind of on edge. So any change in the diet, your system's going to be that much more sensitive to. I would say at least 6 weeks before the date of your event or your race, have a fairly consistent diet. Don't bring any new foods, and especially try to limit foods that you know you're intolerant to. Exercise, again, is a source of stress in the body, so right before the event, your system's going to be just hypersensitive. So bringing in those foods you know you're intolerant to, you can have a stronger reaction than you normally would, just because your body's kind of on edge with the extra training.
So for people that have never run before, what advice would you, like, maybe what are 2 tips that would you give somebody that says, well, gee, I've never ever run before, I can barely walk on a block. How do I start?
That's a really great question. First thing I would say is just start checking out your local neighborhood. If you've never gone on runs before, walking is a great place to start. I recommend to a lot of my patients to park the furthest spot away that you can from the mall or the shopping center, and then you're walking to and from the car, you know, taking your dogs and your children out for walks as much as possible outdoors, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, all the little tips you can add in your day-to-day lifestyle that don't necessarily involve planning or take extra time out of your day. That'd be a great step. The next tip I would say is make sure that you're going to be stretching afterwards, after the activity, and stay within your limits. Don't over-exceed what your body's ready for.
So key tips. So what I've heard is make sure you stay hydrated, make sure you don't change your diet right before your race. Try to incorporate your exercise into your daily activity by parking farther away, playing with your kids, walking the dog, all those kind of things. Great tips. And like say, find a support group. I mean, it's always better when you're doing it as a group. They've done studies, I think, where it says like when you do something as a group, your 80% chance of completing it versus by doing it yourself, it's way lower than that. So like I say, it's a lot more fun to do it with friends because you're experiencing all sorts of fun stuff that happen during races, and so that's great. So I want to thank you for any last minute tips for those first time runners that are coming out.
I would say bring your sense of humor.
Bring your
Don't
sense
be
of
afraid
humor.
to laugh.
That's the key. Laughing is probably one of the healthiest things you can do in life. So this is Mitch Miller from cravinghealthylife.com. Thank you very much, Dr. Carmen Luterbach, and you'll see her website information below this video, and also address and contact information if you want to get a hold of Dr. Carmen. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much.